Welcome to Sum of Reality, where we explore the unexplained, the unusual, and the unsolved. With a blend of true crime, unsolved mysteries, and strange events, our channel is the perfect destination for anyone interested in the darker side of life. So join us as we delve into the unknown and uncover the truth behind some of the most intriguing stories you've ever heard. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate our notification bell, where we'll upload videos every day. On August 15, 2009, a wedding celebration was taking place in a traditional tent in Jarrah, Kuwait. The tent was spacious and accommodated up to 300 people. The festivities were in full swing when suddenly a tragedy struck, turning the celebration into a scene of grief and loss. The fire started suddenly, and soon the entire tent was engulfed in flames. The scene was chaotic as panicked wedding guests desperately tried to escape the fiery inferno. As the fire spread, it became clear that the situation was dire. The combination of the flammable decorations, the tightly packed guests, and the quick spread of the fire created a perfect storm of tragedy. Despite the best efforts of the fire department and the brave efforts of the people, the fire was simply too much to overcome. The consequences were devastating, with 66 people confirmed dead and many more injured. The story is about a man named Zaid, who was married to a woman called Nasar. Zaid decided to take another wife, even though his first wife opposed the idea. The first wife, named Nasar, tried to dissuade her husband from marrying another woman, but he ignored her protests. This story highlights the societal and cultural norms surrounding polygamy in certain societies, and the tensions that can arise when a husband takes a second wife against the wishes of the first wife. Nasar was not only unhappy with Zaid's decision to marry another woman, but she also had a habit of constantly threatening him. She had 2 children with Zaid, and their relationship was already strained with many minor problems that they had been able to resolve on their own. However, the situation became more serious after Zaid decided to marry another woman. Nasar was extremely upset and demanded that he divorce her, but Zaid ignored her requests. In response, Nasar decided to take their 2 children and go to her father's house, where she stayed for several days, hoping that Zaid would change his mind. The wedding preparations were well underway, and the day of the wedding arrived. However, tragedy struck at around 8 p.m. when a fire broke out in the tent. There was not just one call to the police, but hundreds of calls poured in, with men and women screaming in panic and desperation, pleading for help. The police, emergency services, and fire department rushed to the scene, but they quickly realized the gravity of the situation. They needed much more support as the fire was growing larger with each passing minute, and the number of injured and killed was increasing. The only sounds coming from inside the tent were screams and pleas for help, and the fire surrounded the tent from all sides in a circular shape. Here are some voice recordings from the accident incident. The sounds of people screaming, crying, and the crackling of flames. The recordings captured the chaos and the cries for help that filled the area. It was a horrifying sight to see the fire devouring the tent, the screams of the people trapped inside, and the desperate attempts to escape the flames. Despite the valiant efforts of the emergency services, many lives were lost in the tragedy, including several women and children. The incident left many people devastated, and the community was shattered and left in a state of shock and sorrow. The unfortunate victims trapped inside the tent tried desperately to escape, and the police officers began to surround the tent. Several people outside the tent could only watch helplessly. The firefighters and emergency services were spread out everywhere, and the children were crying while some men searched desperately for their wives, mothers, and sisters. The neighbors also played a heroic role in helping the rescuers. They took the children indoors to protect them and kept them from seeing the horrific scene. The rescuers could see some people who were victims of the fire. One woman was covering her child's body to protect him, while another man saved a woman and stayed with her in the hospital, mistaking her for his wife. Many people suffered severe burns and were severely deformed, making it difficult for their loved ones to recognize them until they woke up and identified themselves. After a week of the incident, King Abdullah ordered the transfer of some of the victims to a hospital in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, via evacuation flights, and he also brought in doctors from Germany to treat the injured. This highlights the severity of the incident and the need for specialized medical care. The police began their investigation into the incident, believing that a child had accidentally started the fire. Here, in an interview that I will translate for you, the Assistant General Security Officer talks about his belief that the fire was not intentional.
واحتمال يكون بوفيه موجود في أقصى الخيمة، واحتمال يكون اشتعل حريق من المطبخ أو الموقد اللي موجود هناك. ويقول مدير الإطفاء بأن البلاستيك أو الخام هو سريع الاشتعال.
They conducted a thorough examination of the tent and the surrounding area, finding empty bottles which they analyzed to determine the type of substance inside them. They compared it with the substance used to ignite the tent and started a wider search to determine if the fire had been started intentionally or not. Many people started speculating that the fire was intentional, and some people knew who the perpetrator was. When the results of the analysis of the bottles they found came out, they confirmed that the substance inside was gasoline. All fingers pointed to Zaid's first wife, Nassar. The police interrogated Zaid and asked if he suspected anyone, to which he replied that his wife had warned him that if he married another woman, she would destroy him. The police sought confirmation of this statement from eyewitnesses, including a neighbor's maid who stated that she had seen a woman carrying bottles of gasoline and a lighter, asking her for old newspapers. A taxi driver also reported that he had transported a woman with similar features as Nassar from a house to a gas station and then to the wedding tent. After hearing the statements of the eyewitnesses, the police went to Nassar's mother's house and began to interrogate her. She started to cry and scream hysterically, confessing to planning the fire after learning about the wedding date. She admitted to taking 2 bottles and filling them with gasoline, going to the tent and pouring the gasoline next to the tent and setting it on fire before returning home. She confessed, stating that she lit the fire with the intent to only damage the celebration, not to cause any harm to anyone. She continued saying that she thought that no one would be injured by the fire and that she only intended to cause some damage to the celebration. She went on to say that she wanted to send a message to her husband that what he had done was a crime against her, and that her only intention was to frighten him. She spoke, saying that she poured the gasoline and thought that when they smelled the scent, they would immediately come out, but no one had any reaction of surprise, so she lit the fire and left in a taxi. As she was on her way, she heard screaming and was happy, thinking that her plan had worked and that she had successfully ruined the celebration. However, shortly thereafter, when she saw the ambulances and firefighters heading for the scene, she began to feel scared. After a few minutes, she called her husband's family, and they were all screaming and saying that she was the one who had done this, that she had burned the tent. When she returned home, she turned on the TV and saw many channels reporting news about the incident, and she realized that her simple and trivial plan to scare people had caused a disaster with a large number of victims. She continued, crying and saying that many of her friends and some of her husband's relatives, who she loved, were present in the tent, and that she did not mean to harm them. She placed the blame on her husband, saying that he was the one who pushed her to do it. The husband stated that she had indeed threatened him, but he did not think that she would be serious and actually do it. The husband believed instead that she was speaking out of anger and nothing more. Meanwhile, some of the people who were present at the celebration stated that Zaid's mother had warned them and said that Zaid's first wife would burn the tent, but they should not worry about it, as it was just empty talk. The bride, Zaid's second wife, stated that everyone was happy and that she was not aware of any problems between Zaid and his first wife. Neither the groom nor the new bride were injured, and 66 people died, including women, children, and the elderly. On January 25, 2017, the trial began, and Nassar was sentenced to death. During the execution, she was incoherent and speaking hysterically, repeating, "Forgive me, forgive me." The director of the administration read out the sentence, and when asked about her last request, she repeated again, "Forgive me, I did not mean to harm anyone." After she uttered the Shahada, the sentence was carried out. The story ended with the execution of Nassar, who was convicted of causing the fire and killing 66 people, including women and children. Despite her pleas for forgiveness, the court decided on the death penalty, and she was executed on January 25, 2017. The lives of the bride and groom and Zaid's mother were spared, but they have to live with the knowledge that they played a role in the tragedy. Don't forget to follow me on my social media accounts, which are available in the description box. See you in the next video. Bye bye.